Welcome back to my channel. So for the month of February, I did a lot of talking about love and money and the mixing and mingling of the two. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit still on the lines of relationships, but with your friends and how that translates into conversations that you guys have about money and actually things that happen between you guys when it comes to money. Navigating friends and money can get very tricky and can feel awkward sometimes because let's be honest, when you think about your circle of friends, you guys have different jobs, you guys may be in different fields, you guys may have different monthly obligations, some of you might have children, some of you might not. So the type of things that you are responsible for financially differs, which means that there are some things that some of you can do that others may not be able to do, and vice versa. And there also may be some things that you may not even want to do that your friends might want to do, because let's be honest, we know that peer pressure is a real thing. And I always say that, peer pressure can sometimes have you spending money doing things that you don't even like, or buying things that you don't even like or want. So I'm going to talk through 5 different types of friends that you might encounter when it comes to the whole money situation, and how you maybe can navigate those situations and not make it so awkward. So the first friend I want to talk about is the barely making ends meet friend. Now, I wouldn't want to call this friend poor or broke, because we know that life happens, and based on different situations, they might be in a spot where, they might be in between jobs, or they might have a job, but it's just not making ends meet. They have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Pretty much they're making enough money to kind of live, but do nothing else. Now, I'm always cognizant of this friend, because a lot of times this friend, especially when in the company of other friends, can tend to feel intimidated or feel the peer pressure to want to spend money because that's what everyone else is doing. Or you might be getting invited to brunches and day parties and things, and it may be things that you genuinely want to do. However, your pocket tells a different story, and that's okay. But you, as a person that's in the situation, you have to learn how to communicate and just say, hey, I can't do that now. And your friends also have to be more compassionate to your situation and more aware, so that they aren't just throwing out invites and saying, waking up one day like, hey, let's just go to Jamaica, because, it's not because it's not fair, but because it can come off as arrogant or maybe even sometimes inconsiderate. So we want to be aware of each other's feelings when it comes to something as touchy as money, especially with the friend who may not be making as much. Next is the freeloading friend. So this friend, sometimes they got it, sometimes they don't, but they believe that you always have it. So this is the friend that's always with the, sis, you got this, or, they want to come up with things that you should be doing, or ideas and parties and brunches, but they ain't even got the cash to pay for themselves. They kind of hoping and praying and wishing that you gonna cover them. Now, this kind of friend, sometimes they're not really aware that they're being obnoxious. And sometimes they get in the mindset of, oh, you make X amount of dollars, or, oh, you have this job, so you got it. Now that friend, you might want to have to sit them down and have a private conversation and just let them know, sis, don't make no suggestions if what you got in the bank ain't gonna cover that suggestion that you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to want to treat your friends here and there, but you should be the one to say, hey sis, hey sis, let's do XYZ, I got you. But your friend shouldn't be making suggestions and then directing how your money is spent. Okay, so the third type of friend is the money toxic friend. Now, I'll be honest, I think unknowingly I was this friend, especially when I first graduated college and got a job, because you could not tell me anything, okay? I was making them coins. I was going to the bar. I was buying drinks. I wasn't paying no taxes. Like, I was just living, so to speak. I was hitting that YOLO life, right? And a lot of times, when you don't realize kind of like how fast you're moving, you're just, hey, you want to go do this? Hey, you want to do that? Hey, it's a concert over here. It's a party over here. Let's go out to eat. And sometimes, I feel like I was doing that, not realizing that not everyone is in the same boat as me financially. And that's okay. But that I needed to be mindful when just, asking people to spend money left and right. Now, granted, I probably shouldn't have even been spending money left and right, but but I wasn't depleting my bank account to do so either. Now, I didn't realize that I was the money toxic friend until I took a step back and became the frugal friend. And we're going to talk about the frugal friend in a minute. But when I became the frugal friend, I realized what it looked like and meant to be the money toxic friend. And a lot of times the money toxic friend, it's not malicious, but they just want to have a good time. They just want to have fun. But sometimes you are just a bit more money conscious. You might be having goals you want to achieve. You might be in debt, or you just really might not have it. And a lot of times you might feel a little bullied to kind of spend money or go to a place, because then it's like, oh, you corny or you whack because you don't want to go somewhere. And it's like, nah, sis, I just don't want to spend the coin. I just don't want to spend it. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I think as friends, a lot of times we have to be more transparent and speak up more. Like, we could talk about sex. We could talk about boyfriends, side joints, gossip, everything under the sun, but we can't talk about what's going on with our money. That just seems backwards to me. Money is very important and it drives a lot of things in our lives. And if we were to be more transparent, I think it would actually squash a lot of issues that we come into contact with on a day-to-day. Now, the fourth friend is the frugal friend. That's who I am right now. I'm very frugal, okay? And this year I've been even more intentional about how I spend my money. And it's just like, if I really don't want to do it, if it don't really speak to my soul, and I'm like, hell yes, pretty much. And I know y'all heard me say this a few times. Then it's hell no. I'm not going, or I'm not spending the money. I'm not hitting the concert. I'm not hitting the party, brunch, lunch, dinner. I ain't doing it if I ain't feeling it. And it's more so about me just being more conscious of what I have going on. You know, I set myself back when I first graduated by not being more proactive in my finances. And now that I'm a little bit older and I understand what it means to be more money conscious and be more effective when managing my money, no, sis, you're not going to see me out all the time, because I want to work hard now so that I can live a little bit better later. So just to give you some background, the frugal friend, usually they got a little coin, but a lot of times they just don't want to spend it. So, you know, like, they'll do certain things and they'll go out, but a lot of times you'll find them saying no because they just want to, you know, save their money. Their money is usually always accounted for. There's usually a job happening that each coin is going to. So a lot of times if you didn't give them enough notice, or if they ain't feeling it, they just not going to go. And honestly, as a friend, you just got to respect that. So the last friend, number 5, this one is, you know, this one be skating a little bit on thin ice, because this is the money borrowing friend. So the money borrowing friend can actually be broken up too. So one, you have the friend that doesn't manage their money well, or they're so busy trying to keep up that they end up getting behind on something, or they end up owing something. And so now they have to scrap and either rob Peter to pay Paul, or they got to borrow the money. Then you have the friend that really is just in a financial bind and they just weren't prepared for it. It might have just been unexpected or something like that. But you know, 9 times out of 10, they don't really ask to borrow money. They usually handle their own. Then you have the friend who is really about their business. And what I mean by that is they don't borrow money. So if they're asking, they must really need it. Now, anybody will tell you, I don't lend money. I just don't do it. Hey, Jamaican, I'm broke. Hey, you think I'm broke? What if I'm broke and I ain't got it? Because what happens is, a lot of times is, if you start giving up money and lending money, and, you know, people think that you have it, they think, oh, you know, she got it. You know, and then the other thing is that when they think you have it, they think that they can take all day to pay you back, or that they could just not pay you back. Trust me, that's happened to me too. On the other hand, though, that friend that just really is in a financial bind, or that friend that just really doesn't borrow money, those kind of friends I do think twice about, because I know that they would not be asking me if they didn't really need it. And my criteria usually for lending money, which is not something I do often, and to be honest, personally, my friends, we don't really borrow money from each other. I don't borrow money at all. And to be honest, I have 2 main circle of friends, and we don't really get into that, oh, can I borrow, let me hold. And like I said, unless it's really, really serious, and I can't even think of a time when that's happened, maybe once or twice, but we don't really get into the habit of swapping money, just because too, a lot of times, you know, things happen and we don't want to cause friction or tension, and we value our relationship. So sometimes it's just certain boundaries you don't cross me. But if I really did need to borrow money, my man or my mama. And if they ain't got it, then I ain't got it. I'm just not asking my friend. But that's also because I am very particular about how I move financially. And that's why it's very important for me to have an emergency cushion so that when I'm blindsided or when something happens that I was not prepared for, I don't have to ask someone else for money. I can just handle it myself. And now I know things happen. And if it was to happen, you know, maybe one day I might have to borrow from a friend, but I hope that day never comes. But for me, I just rather be prepared so that if and when it ever happened where an emergency happened, I can just handle and cover myself. So back to the money borrowing friend. So for the friend that's usually never, so for the friend that never asks to borrow money, or the friend that's just really in a financial bind, for me, the criteria to actually lend them money is what type of person is that friend? Are they the type of people that hate to borrow money? Are they like me? Like, do they hate to borrow money? So as soon as they get their money back, they're going to pay you back? Or as soon as, or is their word their bond? When they say they're going to do something, they do it. When they say they're going to pay you back, they pay you back. That type of friend, if they get into a situation where they need to borrow money, yes, I will lend the money. But that's just because I know them. Like, and this ain't no friend that I met yesterday. These is friends that have been down since day one. You know what I'm saying? So these aren't just some fly-by-night friends. The other friend who was just really money conscious and, they have their stuff together and they come and something happens and they really have to borrow, same thing. A lot of times these people literally wouldn't be asking you if you weren't like the last resort. And I can tell you, for any time that has ever happened to me, those people have paid me back when they said they were going to pay me back, and I never had to ask them for the money. Now, anybody that I've ever lent money to in the past when I didn't know any better and they either didn't pay me back or had to ask for my money back, they can never get a dime, and I'm always broke when they come looking. And then the first money borrowing friend that I spoke about, that who's just careless and, they just borrowing money because they ain't got it together. I'd rather help you get your stuff together than to support your habit of just being careless and irresponsible. I'm sorry, because I am not an ATM and I'm not your emergency cushion either. So that is it for friends and money and how to deal. Those are the 5 different type of money and friend situations that I could think about. If you guys have any specific situations or things that actually happened to you, or the type of money friend that I left out, please leave it below in the comments and let me know. Now be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share with a friend. Now, if there's anything that you want to see on my channel that relates to money, let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.